Howdy, folks. I'm Wily Wildflower, widely waving at wetted watercress.
I'm Amber.
And here's more wetted watercress for us to wave at. I don't know why, I don't know how. This is a very strange one, folks. Very strange indeed. And folks, we have a live stream coming up on Friday, tomorrow. Can you believe it? For more information, please see the end of the video. Let's get started. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Helping My Parents Since I'm Not Legally Required to Do So? My parents saved money for myself and my siblings to go to college. My two older siblings used the money, went to a local college, and have started families. They had to work at a part-time job in order to pay for social activities and such. I'm the youngest and I got a full ride scholarship to a great school. I asked my parents if I could use the extra money for other stuff rather than educational expenses. They sat me down and explained that the money was only for education, and since I didn't need it, they weren't legally obligated to give it to me. They said that it wouldn't be fair since my brothers and sisters had to work during school if I got money for just goofing around. I tried to explain that I had studied much harder than they had and that my education wasn't costing them 1 cent, not even room and board. They wouldn't budge. They used the money to take the family, including myself, or so they thought, to Disney World and to renovate their home. I told them that I wouldn't be joining them on vacation. I left home when I graduated high school. My uncle got me a job as a welder for the summer. I gave up my summer, but made enough that I wouldn't have to work during the school year. All the guys that I was working with thought that I was nuts to give up a pipeline money just to go to the university. The welder that I was working with actually gave me $2,000 as a gift at the end of the summer. He said that he gave me a job as a favor for my uncle and that he thought that I would quit in a few days. He was impressed that I had worked my butt off for the whole summer. I did this for the next couple of summers as well. I had a great time in school with my friends and professors, and then in the summers with a bunch of hardcore blue-collar guys that were earning more than most usual people. I didn't cut my family off or go no contact or anything. I just didn't have a lot of free time. When I was in school, I was busy keeping my marks up, and in the summer, I was working. I really only saw my parents at Christmas, and one year I went to my girlfriend's parents' home for Christmas. I got a co-op job the summer before my 4th year. It led to a job offer contingent on me graduating. I did. I then went to work at some really cool places. I've been from the high Arctic to Africa, Australia, and South America. I don't have a wife or kids. My current lifestyle really isn't conducive towards a great relationship with them. I work and I travel. I've been at it for more than 10 years now. I'm making more than the pipeline welders for a much cleaner job that utilizes my brain. I still miss the camaraderie of hanging out with the boys, but those 3 summers gave me a great grounding in how guys think in the field, and that has helped my career out. The last time I talked with my parents, they asked if I could help them out since they wanted to retire early, and they know that I'm doing well. I also want to retire early, so I don't really want to give away my nest egg. I asked them how much my brother and sister were giving them, and they said that they had families and they couldn't afford to help. I said that it wouldn't be fair for me to give them money since neither of my siblings were, and that since I wasn't legally obligated to do so, I wouldn't be doing so. They are upset with me for being stingy and holding a grudge. I don't think that I am. I think that I didn't ask them for a penny after I left home. I didn't ask them to pay for my travel when I came home for Christmas. Nothing. I have been paying for my own life since I was 18. I need to add that they aren't working any back-breaking jobs or anything like that. They're teachers. My brother is a teacher and my sister is a social worker. I'm an engineer. All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk. It's Opie's money and he can decide to use it how he wishes. And it does seem rather hypocritical that the parents wouldn't let him have access to the fund that's set aside for him, but now all of a sudden want him to finance their early retirement.
Well, and then on top of this, right? Like OP it wouldn't have been obligated even if they gave him that money,
Oh, of
right?
course, of course.
And I think that this is just systematic of a larger issue with the family is that, they wanted to kind of show like fairness type of thing, so they weren't willing to help OP out. And I mean, I think that's really unfortunate because I mean, I think that this is one of those situations where OP feels like they've worked really hard, and why should they have to, reward their parents for not saving or not saving up enough money in order to retire, right?
Well, that's the thing. Like, what did the parents do with the money? They didn't set it aside for
Mm-hmm.
retirement or something. They used it for home renovations and to take everyone to Disney.
Yeah. I mean, they could sell the house if
Yeah.
they wanted to, and then maybe they would have enough money to, put towards retirement or early retirement. I think that I feel for OP a lot because I had a very similar life here, and I mean, I'm not sure how I would feel if my parents asked me for money at this point in time. And I mean, I think that this is one of those kinds of situations where it's hard because like you've been doing all the things that are right, and OP has saved away money and has worked towards these goals, and suddenly one day their parents come out of the blue and are like, hey, remember me, we really would like to have some extra money to retire now. And it's like, like where were you throughout my young adult years and stuff like that, right?
Right. Well, it sounds like they have barely kept in touch with OP, and now they're just like, well, we want to retire, so just give us money.
Yeah. So it doesn't even sound like they're really close with
Mm-hmm.
OP. So, but let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Punishing My Son for His Drawings? And Amber wants to read this one.
I'm a 40-year-old male, and I have a son, a 15-year-old male, who loves to draw. He's very good at it and spends hours every day practicing. He has dozens of full sketchbooks in his room. Yesterday, we had some family over for dinner, and my sister's kids, 8-year-old female and 10-year-old male, snuck into his room and looked through his sketchbooks. They came back holding one of them. It was full of drawings of people either naked or in their underwear, which the kids found very funny. I didn't know he drew them. He's very critical of his own art and only shows me drawings he's very proud of, and these were clearly practices. But I wasn't bothered by the contents. They obviously weren't intimate. They included men and women of all ages and weights in casual and non provocative poses. He says he was just studying anatomy. My sister, however, was very upset. She was mad I let my son draw pornography and suggested he drew these people because he was attracted to them, which was silly because he's gay and the majority of the drawings were of women. The guys he did draw weren't what I imagine a 15-year-old boy would be attracted to. She was also upset that her kids were exposed to nudity, which I shut down pretty quickly because they shouldn't have been snooping anyway. My sister is saying that I'm ruining my son by letting him look at naked people. My dad agrees that the kid shouldn't have been in his room, but thinks he shouldn't be looking at that kind of stuff and says I should punish him for drawing it. I just don't see the big deal and think it's fine for my son to look at naked people, especially considering they're just realistic bodies being drawn respectfully. I don't know much about art, but if my son says it helps him improve, I believe him. My mom is entirely on my side. Am I the jerk?
All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk. I mean, I think Opie has a very healthy attitude here. And I'm wondering, has the sister never been to an art museum?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is, you know, art is a complicated thing, right? And if you look at a lot of art throughout history, any art book is going to have nudity, right? It's just a fact, right? Human form and human expression is something that has been studied, a lot through history. And also, it's difficult to know how to draw somebody without understanding the human form, right? And so it's important for artists to develop those kinds of skills in order to learn how to draw people. Now, again, these aren't adult entertainment, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that's where the dividing line comes in here. He isn't drawing stuff for gratification purposes, he's drawing stuff for learning how to draw. And I think that there could be some complications there if this was explicit material, for instance. But again, the thing is that this was his room in his own private space, and it's really difficult to say that the other kids were in the right by snooping through his stuff here, and it should have remained private you know?
Well, that's the thing. Like, even if it had been of a more intimate nature, like, I don't know that I would fault him. 15-year-olds are curious and they're
Yeah.
going to want to draw things, and sometimes those things will be explicit.
Yeah.
And he kept this in his own private space, which was invaded. You shouldn't be punishing him for something that people who weren't supposed to be in there came across.
Yeah. So I don't think that OP is in the wrong here, and I think that they shouldn't squelch his desire to do art because of these drawings. I think that they just need to allow him to develop as an artist for the most part, as long as he isn't doing anything that will put himself or his mental health in danger or those kinds of things. So that's kind of how I feel about it. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Letting My Mom See My Kids Because of Her Fat Shaming? I'm a 31-year-old female, and I was on the chubby side growing up, and my mom, a 58-year-old female, was always hard on me for my weight. It deeply impacted my self-esteem, to the point where I ended up losing an unhealthy amount of weight in my teens just to please her. Once I left the house, I gained some of the weight back, and after years of therapy, I finally felt like I had a healthy relationship with food and exercise. My mom also seemed to stop being obsessed with my body once I wasn't around her 24/7, and our relationship got a lot better. I had a daughter 9 years ago. We'll call her Mia. Mia is a sweet girl who adores her grandmother. A couple of days ago, I sent her and her brother, Liam, a 7-year-old male, to stay with my parents for the weekend. On the car ride home, I noticed that Mia wasn't her bubbly self and asked her if something was wrong. She was clearly embarrassed, but eventually she started to bawl and told me what happened. Apparently, that afternoon they had gone out for ice cream. Mia tried to order a cone with 2 scoops, but my mother stopped her and changed her order to a single scoop in a cup. When Liam ordered a cone with 2 scoops, my mother didn't say a word. When Mia asked why Liam got a cone and not her, my mom told her that it was because she was fat and needed to lose weight or nobody will find her attractive. I was livid. The second we got home, I called my mom and I told her that what she said was completely unacceptable and that from then on, I would have to chaperone any time spent with my daughter. My mom told me that I was overreacting, that Mia was exaggerating, and that I shouldn't believe a 9-year-old over her. She told me that it's probably just something that she picked up in dance class and that I was projecting. I was pretty sure that she was full of garbage, but I wanted to verify anyways. So I had another talk with Mia. I told her that if my mother ever says anything like that to her again, to tell me right away. She then started crying again and told me that this was not the first time that something like this had happened, but also that my mother told Mia not to tell me because I'm fat and that she wouldn't want to be like me. I called my mom again and told her everything Mia had told me, and all she said was, "Well, was I wrong? You are fat." I hung up and she tried to call me again, but didn't pick up. I haven't responded to her since. This morning, she got my brother involved. He thinks that it's an overreaction not to respond and that she didn't mean any harm. But I'm pretty adamant about not wanting to expose my daughter to her BS. I told my brother that if my mother is willing to apologize to Mia and I, and agrees to chaperone visits, then I might consider letting them see each other. I know that she won't do that, and I feel horrible because it's Liam's birthday next week, and I know that he wants his grandmother to be there, but I just don't feel comfortable with my kids being around her, not yet. Am I the jerk? Edit to add, I don't think that my mom's comments would be acceptable even if she were overweight, but Mia is perfectly healthy for her age. She is very active, a dancer, so she eats a lot to sustain herself, but her weight has never been an issue. Alright, folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk, and good on you, OP, for putting a stop to this. What OP's mom is doing is very harmful, and OP knows firsthand. And of course, OP's brother is going to think it's an overreaction because he's not the one who had his weight policed the whole time.
Yeah.
I think it's really important for OP to nip this in the bud before her daughter develops self-esteem issues. But I'm also really disconcerted by the fact that OP's mom tried to make it out like the daughter was lying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that makes her a really untrustworthy person. I would never trust her solo around the kids again for the sheer fact that she wanted to make OP think that her daughter was lying and, like, so she could cover up her own manipulation.
Well, and I think that this is what she was hoping to do is that because she did tell Mia never to tell her mother,
Mm-hmm.
she was hoping that she could discredit anything that Mia said and get ahead of the, curve. And I think that it failed spectacularly. And I feel bad for Mia because she shouldn't be being told about her weight and stuff like that at this age. Like, this isn't something that a girl of her age needs to worry about.
No.
And I think that, kids, they have a lot of brown fat on them, right? They're still growing up, and it takes time for people to lose brown fat. And it's not even really great to lose brown fat, but I mean, that's aside from the point. But the thing is that kids are built differently than adults, is all I'm really getting at. And you can't judge whether a kid is going to be overweight based off of whether they're a little tiny bit chubby or not. And I think that the thing that kids need more than anything are love and support. And if you're concerned about a child's weight, talk to a doctor and see how best it is to handle that situation, as opposed to like shaming them for their weight or something like that.
Right, well, and everyone's body is different. The important thing is not the size of your body, it's,
Mm-hmm.
that you are eating foods that will fuel you.
Yeah.
So if she was eating junk food all the time, like that, Mia and Liam both, like, shouldn't be eating nonstop junk food.
Yeah.
Because it's not healthy. It's not going to give them the nutrients they need to grow. But this whole double standard of, well, boys can eat whatever they want, but, telling a 9-year-old, no one's going to love you because you're fat and
Mm-hmm.
like that's such a horrible thing to say to a child.
It is.
It's
It is.
patently untrue.
Yeah. So I just feel bad for Mia, and I hope that Liam doesn't try to think that this isn't a big deal. I think that OP also needs to talk to Liam and explain what's going on here and say why they're not seeing their grandmother, and say that this isn't, because of Mia, this is because of me, and make it very clear that this isn't something that Mia caused, right?
Right, make it clear that the kids are not at fault here. That the grandma is the one who's doing something
Mm-hmm.
bad, and she needs a timeout from them until she can learn to behave herself.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber has something that will probably pass as a joke, but not really.
It's going to be a rotten vacation when, even though you've already driven through 200 miles of farm country, your mother insists on pointing out every cow and horsey.
I mean, if you have nothing else to do on the entire trip, I don't know why that would be that big of a deal. Look, another cow. Look, another horse. I don't know. I don't know. We used to play the license plate game when I was a kid and identify license plates or something like that. I don't know. But I have Mega Mint. Or I Spy with my little eye.
Yeah, I mean, we did I Spy, and I would try to identify license plates. I was very, yeah, I think me and my siblings like would try and see how far we could get. We would never get the whole 50 states though, because we're up in Maine, and so finding all 50 states was hard.
Alright, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Friday, Junior, folks.
Happy Friday, Junior.
Thanks so much to Amber for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
And folks, we have a live stream coming up tomorrow. We hope to see you then. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it involve parenting.
It's important to give your kids as much freedom as is age appropriate so they can learn to grow and flourish.
I think that works. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.